Jai Hind and welcome you back, students. We are doing with the chapter globalization. In the two previous modules, I talk about the meaning of the globalization, the causes of the globalization, and how globalization started in this 21st century or the 20th century, and what is the difference between the globalization in the ancient time and the today's globalization. Also, I discussed different types of globalizations, right from the political globalizations, social globalization, economic globalization, all different types of globalizations I discussed in details. Some impact of the globalization also I discuss about. In the previous modules, I talks a lot about the different aspects of the globalizations too. Right? So, if you can move back a little, I was talking about the consequences in the general terms. I talks about the globalizations first, the second and third wave globalizations, and globalization 4.0. Apart from that, what are the changes being made under the globalization? That's a free trade and tariff barriers, import substitutions, a lot many things that you are supposed to discuss and already explained, right? Even I told about the general complaint about the globalization is that it has made the rich become richer and the poor become poorer, because this is what the capitalist or the capitalism speaks about. The rich become richer and the poor become poorer. And a few new terminology came into force because of the globalization, that is VAT, value added tax, and the other types of taxes. And these taxes can be as high as even 28% even in India. It starts from 5% to 28% in India. For instances, 161 countries have value added taxes, and that's also one of the basic reasons that India has adopted value added taxes. And across the country, you have different tax slab, we can say, that central excise tax, the central government tax, the state government tax. So it removed sale tax, different types of sale tax were there. So it removed all those taxes, and a new tax being introduced, that was value added tax, and it's almost a similar types of component or similar types of taxes across the world. You can find out this in almost 161 countries. So many changes being made, you can say, to provide a proper proper law or proper legislations for globalization, because basically maybe the political globalization, social globalization, cultural globalization, these are the different aspects of the globalizations, but these are all marginal parts of the globalization. What exactly you are talking about in terms of the globalization, that is economic globalization, right? It talks about paise, it talks about business, trade, manufacturing sectors, the improvement, basically the development in the secondary and the tertiary sectors. We talks a lot about in terms of the globalization, though it talks also about, you can say, the agriculture sectors and the agrarian economy also. So the globalization, more or less, you can say in general, if you can ask anyone else what globalization, they usually being refer globalization as an economy or the trade relationship or relationship concept. Or globalization means that in terms of the economy, people usually see globalization in terms of the economy. So that more or less you can say it has a tremendous impact on the different aspects of our life. So that today you are going to discuss in details, right? Before you go in details about the consequences, a few common consequences, and let's talk about the positive impact of the globalization. Number one, it give access to the larger market. Earlier I told you that generally the trade market was confined to the domestic boundary of a particular country. It usually being confined to a domestic boundary, means if you are a trader, I am a trader, I will be confined to Varanasi, then UP, then India, and different types of taxes and policies were there, and different types of restrictions were being imposed on me earlier, before 1991 or 1995. But with the onset of the globalization, you can say the domestic market, which I was being restricted to the domestic market, now I have the accessibility to the international market. Across the world and any of the country, I can go for the trade, because India has become the members of the WTO, World Trade Organization. So automatically you are having a multilateral trade agreement, so that my product can be sold across the world. Over the night, in a minute, my product can be advertised through internet. So the concept has changed over the year. The concept of the globalization has changed over the year. And so what the positive, it give access to the larger market. Earlier it was been confined to a very smaller area, a domestic market, maybe a domestic market, Suppose I'm not talking about the state like only UP or any particular state. If I'm having a business entity in UP, it's not only restricted to earlier also in UP, maybe the entire country of India. But now, even I am not restricted to India. I can go beyond that, and the world is a market now, and that's why it's known as in the globalization. In the era of the globalization, the world is a village. It provides cheaper goods for the consumer. Earlier, before the globalization, because there was no competition, there was no inflow of the companies from the different parts of the world, there was no MNCs, even if in India, so that the competition of the goods are lesser. You will be getting hardly the substitution goods. Suppose you are talking about a mobile phone 20 years back, Nokia was the only which was a leading company in India, not only in India, across the world. But because of the globalization, now you are having so many companies, and because the consumers remain limited, and whereas there are large numbers of the supplier, so automatically the market become a cheaper market and a competitive market, and the market is a consumer oriented market. Now whatever you can say, the market is a consumer oriented market, right? All depends on supply and demands and the consumer choices. So we have got more autonomy or the independence in terms of the buying of any of the goods, and automatically the price of the product goes down, because there are large numbers of the supplier, and that restricted to the limited numbers of consumers are there. So that also we got the benefit in terms of, because of the globalization. Globalization also its constitutes to what they do the best, and basically very simple example. It's not like that. Suppose a particular product is available in US. It's not only confined to that particular country. It can be sold across the world. And today maybe you are having more than 195 countries with the WTO, and each of the country their expertise in something else. Suppose India, in terms of the cotton textile, India is expertise in terms of the cotton, raw cotton, or you can say the khadi, and can be sold across the world. Maybe some other country, maybe the country like China, they are in terms of electronics items or the electronics goods. So each of the country they have their own specialty and specifications. So those product they are best with something, and those particular something which I am talking about, the something which be that particular product can be sold across the world. So that particular product will not be confined now to a particular country or in a domestic boundary, so that the best items or the best goods can be available across the world. Leads to a better economy, with the many multinationals heading to Africa to tap the consumer base in the part of the world, more jobs. And this is better economy. Why it's talking about better economy? Because now earlier a particular company or a particular industry is being restricted to the country which owns, but now they can go across the world. So even if they can go to Africa, they can come to Asia, they can come to India, to any of the country across the world. And usually these MNC, the multinational corporations, usually they move to the country which is a little bit lesser developed, underdeveloped, and having huge resources. So ultimately the potential of the underdeveloped country or the developing country can be that particular potential in terms of the raw materials or the human resources can be utilized, and automatically that leads to a better economy. So in terms of the globalization, basically you talks about the political globalization. I'll be talking about economic globalizations, and I'll be talking about cultural globalizations. In this particular book, it talks about these three types of globalization. Political consequences, globalization in terms of the political consequences I'll be talking about. I'll be talking about the economic consequences of the globalizations, and I'll be talking about cultural consequences of the globalization. Though there are so many types of globalization that already I discussed about, if you can go back a little, you can find out. So each and everything it's having its their own consequences. Like we are talking about economic globalizations, financial globalizations, cultural globalizations, then political globalization, sociological globalization, technological globalization, geographic globalizations, ecological globalization. So these are different types of globalization. So don't feel that globalization means only I'm talking about economic globalization. और खाली मैं पैसे का ही बात कर रहा हूँ या इंडस्ट्रीज का बात कर रहा हूँ. It's not like that. Anything which is globalized, that's globalization. So let's talk about political consequences of the globalization. In terms of the positive aspect, if you can see the best political values the ethics like liberty, equality, fraternity. Then you can say you talk about democracy, republic. These are parliamentary form of government. So these are all the basic principle of the democracy which spread across the world. Though earlier it was only confined to a fewer country. As already I told you that a democracy, it was for the first time it was being started from USA, and which because of the globalization which expanded to more than 150 country across the world. So that's exactly we are talking about even political consequences. So what are the political consequences there? There are at least three aspects that we need to consider in the answering about the consequences. The first one is the political consequences. After that, we will be discussing about economic consequences and cultural consequences. At the most simple level, globalization result in the erosion of the state capacity. Earlier, you can say what I am talking about. Earlier, we talks about a welfare state. We talks about socialism, right? Or state control economy, centralized economy. But do you have at present centralized economy, state control economy, socialism? Even the communist country like China, the communist country like Russia, and so many communist country of the Eastern European nation, they have adopted free market, that is capitalism, because this is what the need of the hour. मीन्स जो वेलफेयर स्टेट का ये कॉन्सेप्ट था, वेलफेयर स्टेट मतलब क्या होता है? वेलफेयर स्टेट मतलब दिस इज अ स्टेट इन विच more more or less you can say the economy it was being concentrated with the government, and they looks after the basic amenities or the basic welfare of the people. Like we talks about roti kapda makan and education. All these things are being looked after by the government. Earlier, even in India also it was a welfare state, or even if in a socialistic pattern. In a socialistic state, what they did that usually, because it's a centralized economy, you can say, so they give subsidies. Any of the product, if it can be sold in the market, usually the government they give subsidy. जैसे पहले होता था LPG गैस सिलेंडर जो घर में यूज होता था, उसमें हमें सब्सिडी मिलता था 200, 300, 400 रुपये का, उससे ज़्यादा भी सब्सिडी मिलता, अभी भी सब्सिडीज है, बट द अमाउंट ऑफ द सब्सिडीज हैज बीन रिड्यूस. पेट्रोल एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स हैविंग इट्स सब्सिडीज, फर्टिलाइजर्स हैविंग इट्स सब्सिडीज. इट मीन्स व्हाट द सब्सिडीज मीन्स गवर्नमेंट उसको लेता है 100 रुपये में एंड बेचेगा आपको 80 रुपये में, तो 20 रुपये गवर्नमेंट अपने जेब से देगा. वाई? बिकॉज योर कंट्री इज ए पोअर कंट्री. बट 20 रुपये कहाँ से आएगा? अल्टीमेटली आपका टैक्स से ही आएगा. सो इनडायरेक्टली इफ यू कैन सी दैट अल्टीमेटली दैट्स 20 रुपीज बर्डन्स will come to you. So the concept of the welfare state gradually being eroded. However, you withdraw from many of the earlier welfare functions directed at the economy and social well-being. But still you can say that we are having the Factory Act and the Industrial Disputes Act, and the legislations already are there. You can say that all these industries or the multinational corporations, they are supposed to follow basic legislations of that particular country. Even if I am talking about environment, that they have to obtain the pollution certificates. If so many things they are supposed to do in terms of the environment, and that's known as social welfare, right? And they are because they are earning from the society, that's why they are supposed to work something for the society, right? In place of the welfare state, it is a market that become a prime determinants of the economy and the social priority. But presently, because of the globalization, the concept of the social priority or the you can say socialization is no more. The entry and the increased role of the multinational company all over the world leads to the reductions in the capacity of the government to take the decisions of their own, because you'll surprise the MNCs, they themselves is having it's a huge multinational company. उनका अपना बजट उतना, इकोनॉमी उनका पैसे इतना होता है कि किसी एक कंट्री का जीडीपी से भी ज़्यादा होता है. So they are so powerful, you can say. At the same time, globalization does not always reduce the state capacity, but it doesn't mean that it always reduce the state capacity. Now the states are independent also, and they are much more independent in terms of the economy. The primary of the state continue to be unchallenged basis of the political community. The state continue to discharge its essential function, because today also, even if giving very simple example, like because of the present scenario or the clashes between India and China, India-China disputes, a few days back the Indian government, they have taken a decision to ban around more than 50 to 60 Chinese app. And even today or the yesterday also, the government banned another 30 to 40 Chinese app, or the app which is related to those apps. It means in last 10 days we banned around 80 to 90 Chinese apps. So it's not that only globalization is regulating the economy of a particular country or the laws and regulation of a particular country. It's my choice. Also, we are having my choice, my law and order and national security, because this is a matter of national security. Indian government has given in the given the justification of the national security in order to ban all those apps by telling that this app in any way they are collecting the information from the Indians and to be given to the provided to the Chinese government. So that, see, maybe globalization had its own impact, but at the same time still the state have their own essential function. They discharge their own essential function. They have their own rules and regulations and their legislations. In some respects, state capacity has received a boost as a consequence of the globalization, with enhanced technology available at the disposal of the state to collect the information about the citizen. And at the same time, because of the globalization and information technology, in a minute, if government wanted to give any information to their its own citizen, the informations can be passed on. And if you wanted to take any information about the citizen, they can. You talks about Arogya Setu. Suppose if you can take the example of Arogya Setu, this is an initiative from this government of India during this COVID-19, and this app give my informations to the government, and usually I also get the informations about others through this particular app. So the technology are such type of thing which not only helping the company, multinational company, also it helps a lot to the state agencies also. With the information, the state is better able to rule, not less able. Thus, states become more powerful than they were earlier as an outcome of the new technology. And this is very true. Even the whatever the things are happening across the country, earlier it was very difficult to get all those informations. But nowadays, in a fingertips, the governments, they get informations across the country. Their intelligence is now more powerful because of the globalization, right? Because of the technological upgradations, everything made it easier and easy accessible for the administration. Give a very simple example, like suppose during this COVID, our central government and the state government, they have given some financial aid or financial assistance to those who are the below poverty line people. And it's a huge country like India, 130, 140 crores people are there. Is it possible that, and at the time of the lockdown, that money can be reached to each and every individual through the bank? No. But this is this thing being possible because of the technology, because of the globalization, that the government earlier they already made it mandatory for Aadhaar card. That's an you can say identifications, a personal identification number, PIN, personal identification number. Apart from that, the bank account being created and everything, all the transactions being done through internet without any intervention of any individual. So all these things being possible because of the globalization. So ऐसा नहीं है कि globalization के वजह से state को फायदा नहीं हुआ. They also benefited a lot, and उनका जो functioning, day to day functioning of the state also improved a lot across the year. Go to the next. This is very this particular cartoon you need to watch. Yeah. So what I'm talking about, you can say, if you can see this, what this cartoon, this is what the result of the globalization. You can very carefully see this, was this cartoon, you will find out these two different picture, one which talks about yesterday and the other one towards my right hand side, this talks about 2 days. It what talks about, this is the Western thoughts. What yesterday was talking about, finish your dinner, there are people in China and India who are starving. What does it mean? The Western civilization, Western country, when they usually felt that, and it was the impression that the country like India and China, they are basically, you can say, the country those are starving of hunger. खाना नहीं मिलता है. Most of the people are below poverty line. इसलिए आपसे कुछ बच जाए तो उनको कुछ दान दे दो खाने के लिए. That was the situation before globalization. And in the post-globalization area, finish your homework. There are people in India and China who are starving for your job. and this is exactly the truth. Have you got it? What I'm trying to tell, what this cartoon trying to tell? यूएसए में चले जाओ, सिलिकॉन वैली में चले जाओ, मोस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट में चले जाओ, इंडियंस मिलेंगे हर जगह पे. Why more than 500 MNCs they established their own factories outlet in China? That's only because of human resources. So the scenario has changed because of the globalization. कभी हम लोग को भिखारियों के हिसाब से देखा जाता था, एंड आज वी आर ए कॉम्पिटिटर. अगर आप अपने तरीके से अगर नहीं लड़ पाएंगे, सपोज एनी ऑफ द वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज और ए बिग नेशन लाइक इवन यूएसए, तो अपना एजुकेशन अपना सिस्टम को अगर स्ट्रांग नहीं बना पाएंगे तो उनको जॉब हम जाके छीन के ले लेंगे. एंड दिस इज हैपनिंग इन यूएसए. यू विल सरप्राइज इफ यू गो टू यूएसए. A large number of youth you will find those who are unemployed, whereas millions of Indians, those who are working in USA and a good job, with a good job, because our human resource we have developed across the year in terms of our education, and at the same time ग्लोबलाइजेशन कहीं ना कहीं हमें वो बूस्ट मिला, वो हेल्प किया, क्योंकि मार्केट का बाउंड्री भी खुल गया, हम दुनिया में कहीं भी जा सकते हैं. एंड इफ आई एम ए बेटर ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज, I have the worth across the world. कहीं भी कर सकते हैं. Even if I am not, suppose if I'm not able to go to US, it doesn't matter. But the US companies which usually come to India and they establish in India, वो मुझे ले लेंगे. So that now all this developing nation, or you can say the country which earlier became a poorer country, now they are the most powerful country. If you can see the economy of the China 30 years or 40 years or 50 years back, the condition was very miserable, and today is competing all the powerful nation of the world. The second largest in terms of the GDP. The country like India, hunger starving, this is the basic identity of India, but now we are competing as the fastest growing GDP and in every respect, and standing at 7th or 8th position in terms of the GDP in the world. So this is all the result of the globalization. This all possible because of the globalization, right? So this is what about you can say the political consequences of the globalizations, which I more or less you can say I talked about. So I was just talking to you at the beginning that today you are going to talk about 3 different types of consequences. One is the political consequences, economic consequences, and cultural consequences. Political consequences we discuss about. कि what impact, negative impact that usually the state or the welfare state or the government they had or they are having at present, and what benefits that we got because of the globalizations in terms of the administrative benefits or in terms of the movement of the people also across the world, and our worth in world economy, right? And how the principle of democracy move across more than 150 countries of the world. So this is what the political consequences. So political consequences is the mixed reaction. कुछ फायदा हुआ तो कुछ कहीं ना कहीं किसी कुछ कंट्री को नुकसान भी हुआ. See all these things, whatever you are going to do, having both the sides of the similar coin. If you are if you are having some advantage, at the same time it will be having some disadvantages also. So the consequences can be positive and negative both the way. It is we that how we are going to take those consequences. Any rules, any laws, any things is supposed to be passed. Then how you can make that an opportunity. That's very important. If you don't have the worth to make all those incident or accident as an opportunity, then you don't have any rights to live in the world presently. Giving very simple example of what our Prime Minister also used to speak. Atmanirbhar Bharat. In the COVID-19, maybe it's an pandemic across the world, and it's creating lots of difficulties for us. But we are taking it an opportunity in terms of Atmanirbhar Bharat. पहले जो हम बहुत कुछ नहीं कर सकते थे, during this pandemic, we have done all those things. तो कहीं ना कहीं कुछ नेगेटिव होता है तो कुछ पॉजिटिव भी होता है. So that's very important. You can say you have to accept the positive side, not usually generally the negative side of anything else. So this is all about the political consequences. Now let's talk about the economic consequences. Right. So it's already 24 minutes. Right. So next 5 minutes, let me take another 5 minutes. and let me talk about the economic consequence. While everything may not be known about the economic facets of the globalization, these particular dimensions shape a large part of the content and direction of the contemporary debate surrounding the globalization. I was talking about globalization in general, मतलब है कि लोग इकोनॉमी से ही समझते हैं. And who played important role in terms of this? International Monetary Fund, World Trade Organizations, World Bank. ये तीनों का जो पॉलिसीज है वो पॉलिसी से डिटरमाइन होता है इकोनॉमी, द ग्लोबलाइजेशन ऑफ द इकोनॉमी, राइट. इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन इन्वॉल्व मेनी एक्टर्स अदर देन दीज इंटरनेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस. इट्स नॉट ओनली दैट दीज इंस्टीट्यूशंस दे प्लेड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. Apart from that, so many other players are there in the economic globalization. A much broader way of understanding of the economic globalization requires us to look at the distribution of the economic gain, who gets most from the globalization and who get less from the globalization. If you can see, it is we as a country how to respond. See, if you are a underdeveloped country or developing country and having huge resources, I don't have the capital, I don't have the technical know-how to exploit the resources. तो resources को ये फायदा क्या है? पॉवर्टी में तो है ही. इससे बेहतर नहीं है कि let us take technology and other things from the developed country and explore those resources. So हम automatically economic prosperity होगा. So how you are taking the globalization, economic globalization, that's the choice of the country. As you saw the example in the beginning of the chapter also, I told that what are the different types of flow? The flow of commodities, the flow of capital, the flow of people, and the flow of ideas. There are four different flows: commodities, capital, people, and ideas. That's what make economic globalization. So globalization has involved greater trade in commodities across the globe, and the restrictions imposed by the different countries and allowing the import of the other countries have been reduced. I was talking about in my previous model import quota, import substitution. I'm talking about, you can say, tariffs, barriers. Tariff barriers were there. Tariff barriers were there कि कहीं हर जगह पे अलग अलग टैरिफ हुआ करता था, अलग लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम हुआ करता था. So all these things being reduced or stopped, you can say, in order to make an easy access to globalization. And that what exactly WTO works on. The restrictions on the movement of capital across the country have also been reduced. In operational term, it means that investors in the rich country can invest their money in the country other than their own and underdeveloped country. That's otherwise known as FDI, foreign direct investment. India is now open for the FDIs in almost each and every sectors, even in some of the sectors 100%, in some of the sector 50%. What does it mean by 100%? Means पूरा 100% फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट से कोई एक फैक्ट्री बन सकता है कुछ सेक्टर्स में, और कुछ सेक्टर्स ऐसे हैं जहाँ पे 50% फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स होंगे और 50% हमारा होगा, या 49% फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर एंड 51% इंडियन होंगे. जॉइंट वेंचर, दिस अदरवाइज नॉट जॉइंट वेंचर. So globalization also leads the flow of the ideas across the national boundary. The spread of the internet, computer related services are the example of that. But globalization has not led the same degree of increase in the movement of people across the globe. And see, it's very important, you can say, that it's not necessary that lesser developed country or underdeveloped country or developing nation, they will not have better human resources. Even the country like India having the best human resources across the world, and we rule the world. Most of the people from India, they usually go to US and the other developed country and they work there. So the developed country have to carefully guarded their borders with visa policy, ensure that citizens of their own country cannot take away the jobs of their citizens of other country. They cannot take the jobs of their own country, and this happens in US. That's why even the present US government and the previous US government H1B visa or those visa policy, they are changing the visa policy because the Indians going over there or the developing country, the human resources from the developing country, they are going to US and they settle over there. They are getting a better employment opportunity as comparison to the US citizen. So many changes are being made due to globalization, and it's having always a mixed reaction. See, right? It's already 30 minutes. So today you discuss about the political consequences and part of economic consequences completed. The next modules I'll discuss the rest part of the economic consequences and the cultural consequences. Till then, stay safe, stay at your home. All the best. God bless you.